Good evening and welcome to Al Shishi. This week's parsha, right before bringing Bikurim, a person remembers, talks about all the annals of Galus and the things that we went through, Mitzrayim, Arami, Lavan, the people who try to do damage to us. And we're very specific in what we remember and why we remember it. Along that nostalgic route that we take, we talk about all the challenges along the way, along this journey. We talk about being in Mitzrayim, Vayareu, Mitzrayim. They were very bad to us, the Mitzrayim. And everybody asks, many of them, Farshim ask, what's Vayareu Eisanu Mitzrayim? It should say Vayareu Lanu HaMitzrayim. They were bad to us. What's Eisanu? My grandfather, Yisroel Besser, Zatzal, used to say over at the Seder very frequently. He'd tell over a story. He was a very diplomatic person and a very smart person, my grandfather, clever man. Not long after World War II, somebody came to his office, not somebody he knew. This person said his name was Mr. Friedman, and he had ran into real issues, legal issues. He needed help, and someone said, go talk to Rabbi Besser, maybe he could help you. My grandfather said, what's the problem? So he said that after the war, people were eligible for funds from the German government, people who had been victims of Nazi persecution and Nazi oppression, and there was money available to them. And he was available. He was also eligible for those funds. He had lost a lot of the war, Rahman al-Islam, and he filled out the forms. When he filled out the forms, he exaggerated or tweaked or a little bit shifted the reality of what he had before the war, what he was eligible to, changing the number that he was eligible to. And the Germans run a tight ship, and they did their accounting, their forensic accounting, and they realized after a couple of years that that the numbers didn't really add up, and he had taken more than he should have. And they came after him very hard. They wanted to prosecute him legally, and of course they wanted all the money back. He didn't have any money, and he didn't really know. He was frightened. He was terrified. So he went to my grandfather, knowing that my grandfather spoke German, and he had political connections to a degree. So my grandfather said he's going to try to handle it. And he made an appointment with the German consul to New York, and he made a meeting with her, and he went to sit down over there, and he came to her office, and she said, yeah, good day, Rabbi, how can I help you? So he said, I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine, Mr. Friedman. And he showed her the file. He said, let me tell you a little bit of the history of this Mr. Friedman. Mr. Friedman came to the camps, and as soon as he arrived, they asked, the first question they said, are you over 16 or under 16? And he just understood instinctively that it wouldn't be good to say he's under 16. So he said, I'm 17, even though he was 14. So they said, okay, go to the right. Okay, dodged a bullet. Then they said, do you have anybody here in this crowd over here have any experience with being an electrician, with electrical work? He said, yeah, I was an apprentice electrician. So they said, oh great, okay, come here. And again, he had never really dealt with a wire in his life. He had never worked as an electrician, of course, but he understood that would be a prudent thing to say. And then he joined the crew that was helping an electrician over there in the camp and doing work. At one point they said, does anybody have any experience, not just with wiring, but with dealing with light bulbs, and with being able to take apart a light bulb and put it together? And he said, yeah, he actually had some experience with that too. They said, oh, perfect, okay, good, we need you. Go over there to that division. And my grandfather said, this is how he survived for years. He tried to figure out what the smartest answer and the most prudent answer would be. And that was the answer he gave. And that's how he stayed alive. And he said for 5 years he survived on lying, because that was the only way he could survive. Everybody else was killed. And my grandfather tells this woman, you made him into a liar. You turned him into a liar. And now you complain that he's lying to you? You did this. That was the story. And my grandfather was successful with that argument, of course. They understood. The woman understood, and they dropped the case. My grandfather would say, Vayareu Eisanu HaMitzrayim. Doesn't mean that they were bad to us. It means that they made us bad. Vayareu Eisanu. They exposed us to a climate of such evil, such wickedness, such moral depravity, that it affected us those years of Mitzrayim. Vayareu Eisanu HaMitzrayim. We hung around with people who were bad. We became bad. Bikurim is our chance. At Yisroel, we're starting again. We have to appreciate how far we've come and how much work there still is to do to Shabbos.